All right. So, welcome to Astana, Kazakhstan, you guys. I apologize for the very crazy curly hair I have right now. So, for those of you who haven't seen one of these videos before, this is how the lowdown goes. First part, gay travel information. Second part, general travel information. Third part is if I just have some kind of general story to tell. This video is going to have all three parts. I will say that you're going to see in the title that I also mentioned Bishkek and Astana, but I'm not doing gay travel guide information on them because there is nothing besides online. So I don't think I have to make a whole video and, to just tell you that basically the only option you have open to you when you go to those places is online, which is actually the bulk of information I end up giving in a lot of videos because we've become an online community and almost everything is done online. Anyway, so stay tuned for part one for Almaty. Alright, so part one, Almaty gay travel destination. Yes and no. So, in this part of the world, in the stans, so Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, Almaty is one of the biggest cities. I don't think it's the biggest city. I think Tashkent might be a little bit bigger in terms of population, but it's one of the biggest cities. And it's known to be one of the most international cities in this part of the world. And Kazakhstan, compared to the other stans, is relatively gay friendly. So, it's not illegal to have gay pride or something like that. In some of the other neighboring countries, it's also not illegal to partake in gay sexual activity anymore. And some of them it still is, and some of them it's not. It's not in Kazakhstan, but Kazakhstan also has the distinction of, they don't disallow people from protesting or something or having gay pride. I don't know if they actually have gay pride here, but legally it's allowed, I guess. So, having said that, for this part of the world, I would say if you're I absolutely need to go to this part of the world and I absolutely need to do something gay, well, then I would say Almaty is probably your best bet. It's also the only one of the cities in all of these countries that I know of that has an official gay club, which is called Studio 69, and it's open on Fridays and Saturdays. It also has several other clubs that are at least deemed gay friendly. Those you can look up online by yourself. There is no gay area though. There's no gay youth center or anything like that. So outreach programs that are open. But I have to say overall, I think there's a very good vibe in Kazakhstan. I think it's moving in the right way compared to a lot of the other countries in this part of the world. It definitely strikes me as the least paranoid. In some of these other countries, like Turkmenistan, everybody was just crazy paranoid. The gay people were they constantly felt like people were watching them, and it was pretty bad. So, yeah. So yeah, and of course, you have online. There's always online if you're looking to meet people. So in terms of cruising, I don't know of any active cruising areas. There's a park where I saw some men that I felt were very obviously gay, but I don't know if I should go so far as to say that it is a gay cruising spot. And of course this map does not tell me the name of this park. It is the park that the Ascension Cathedral is in. So if you guys feel like you want to be, try out some cruising, I think that park might be a good starting point. Yeah. Other than that, I don't really have much to tell you guys here. I think Almaty is a cute enough little city. I think if you're really somebody who is it's very important that when they travel, they go to a place that's very gay friendly or very gay accepting, then I would not say come to Almaty. I would not say even travel to this part of the world. They had the influence of Islam coming from the south, and they have the influence of the USSR from the north, and they kind of came together in all of these countries here. And we know that Islam is not particularly gay friendly, and the USSR and Russia are not particularly gay friendly. So you can imagine that there's a lot of ingrained homophobia here, even still in Kazakhstan, even though it's relatively more accepting than the neighboring countries. But I don't want to lure you guys into this false ideal of this place is Eden and whatever. I'm just saying it's comparatively, it's a comparatively gay place to go, or a gay location to go. Yeah, comparatively. Okay, so that's the end of part 1 already. Going on to part 2. In part 2, I'm going to mention Almaty, Astana, and Bishkek, all 3 of these cities. I visited all 3 of these cities during this trip. I don't think it's worth making a video for Bishkek and Astana separately. They're very small cities. They don't have a gay scene outside of online, so I'm just going to mention the things that if you do travel there, I do think are worth visiting. And I'm going to do that as I did in my videos from now on, where I say what I like first, and then I say what I don't like first. Because way back when I first started my gay travel blogs, I would always get accused of saying, you only say things, you don't like things, you only say negative things. And I'm like, no, that's not true. So now I specifically make a point of saying, these are the things I like. So if anybody tries to accuse me of only saying negative things, I can be like, really? Because at 3.4 minutes of this video, that's when I talk about the things I like. So, Almaty. I would say I overall think this is kind of a cute city. It's very green, it's very walkable, which I very much enjoy. It's like surrounded by mountains, which is also very gorgeous. If you're somebody who's into nature, I think this is I think Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan for Bishkek, I think these are countries that tend more to people who want to be outdoorsy and hiking and all that kind of stuff. I do enjoy those things, but those are not things I generally like to do by myself. And since I generally travel by myself, I'm more likely to travel in cities, is my point. But I do think Almaty overall is very cute. I don't think it's breathtakingly beautiful. I don't think it's overly interesting, but it is cute. It's very green, and I don't think if you had to live in this part of the world for a year or two, I don't think you'd be miserable here or anything. And by far, for me, the most interesting thing in Almaty is Nurli Tau. Totally probably saying that wrong. And I'm actually usually not a fan of modern art or modern architecture or modern art. So I haven't really read up on the history of Nurli Tau, but basically it's this collection of buildings, and I'm not sure if it was built as one building and then made to look as if at one point they were individual, or if they're actually individual buildings, and then they were kind of, through the architectural artwork, brought together to look like one. But basically it's like this group of buildings, and it almost looks like somebody put melted glass over them. It's basically a row of maybe like 5 or 6 buildings, and they're just completely covered with glass. And it has a really amazing effect when the lights hits it and stuff. It's very, very gorgeous. So I think that, I would say, is the one thing in Almaty that I really was like, wow, this is really beautiful. Like, I'm really glad I saw that. The other tourist sites are kind of like meh. The one tourist site I was actively disappointed though with, and this is going to be the only dislike for Almaty, is the history museum. Every country I go to, I try to go to the history museum. I find it really fascinating. I especially love in history museums seeing like the national dress and like the national ways that people were like living. Like to me, that's really fascinating. And the National Museum here is pretty much empty. There's only maybe only one side of the museum had anything in it. One of the top floors had just information on the president, and in this part of the world, I'm always like president, and it was all in Russian. I had no idea what was going on, and that didn't interest me at all. And then the second floor was the only floor that had anything to do with like the history of Kazakhstan and its people and what they wore. So that's one thing. If you do come to Almaty, I think you can completely skip the museum. Like it's not worth it. Like it's. I don't think I saw anything there that really blew my mind. And moving on to Astana, I didn't like Astana at all. So Astana was built. Almaty was always the biggest city in Kazakhstan, and for a long time it was the makeshift capital. And then at some point in time, they decided, hey, let's just create this capital. And so Astana is very inorganic. Like everything was built with the idea of this is going to be our capital city. So I just find it looks a little bit futuristic and hodgepodge and thrown together. It's not as green as like Almaty is. Overall, I just didn't like it. I just didn't think it's a pretty. I don't think it's a pretty city. I don't think it's interesting. It doesn't have any of. It doesn't even have as much variety as Almaty does. So I think that's a complete worth. That's just a complete skip. I don't think anybody needs to go there. The only reason I went there is because I have this weird thing about when I travel that I have to see the capital of the country for me to consider having seen the country. I don't know why I started this, but I definitely don't recommend it. Having said that, if you do go to Astana, I 100% recommend that you go to the Hazarat Sultan Mosque, which from the outside doesn't look that spectacular, but from the inside is one of the most beautiful mosques I have ever seen. It's breathtakingly beautiful from the inside. It has like a double court system, and like the first court has like a little arbitrarium. Is that what that's called? When like there's plants. It's gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. Because at first I was like, I don't know. It's kind of the way at the other end of the city. Do I really want to go there? And I'm so glad I did because it was the absolute highlight of the Astana part. And the last part, going to Bishkek. And Bishkek is the capital of Kyrgyzstan. Again, I have to say, I actually really, really liked Bishkek. I think to me, it's the opposite of Astana. It's very organic. You can tell that it's an old city. It's very green. It's not quite as walkable as Almaty, I feel like, but it's very, very green. It's very lush. And one of the things I really liked about Bishkek is compared to almost all the other cities in this part of the world, it wasn't as Sovietized. Okay, that's like a terrible creation of a word. USSRized, by which I mean, even though I'm kind of a communist at heart, one of the things I will never forgive the communism or the Soviet Party for is that they built these really unaesthetically pleasing housing blocks. There are just these concrete blocks that just suck the life and happiness out of you when you look at them. It's just like, bleh. It's like, here's your box, like all that was missing is that they just put a pin code on the back of someone's head and like, okay, go into your box. There's just no life. There's no happiness to them. And a lot of the cities, I think, in former USSR countries have been ruined during the time that they were part of the Soviet Union and they were just putting these ugly ass buildings up. And Bishkek seems to have avoided it more so than a lot of other cities. So it was kind of nice to walk around in Bishkek and not see that. And I'm like, okay, wow, good. Glad they were able to escape the horror of that ugliness. And within the city itself, I would say the only thing, I didn't get to go into the history museum there, which bummed me out because they were renovating it. So I can't judge that one. But the only thing I could really say that I think is really worth seeing is Alu Square, which is basically like the center of town. All the other tourist things to see, I think, are kind of, I don't think any of them are terrible, but it's kind of like, all right. Again, I think Kyrgyzstan is just more meant to be a nature place. So for people who want to go hiking or fishing or something like that, I think Kyrgyzstan would also fit more into that category than city travel. All right, and third part, how am I doing in time? Damn, I'm actually doing really good in time. Third part, I have two things. One is kind of gay related, and that is that when I was in Astana, for the first time, and I don't even know how long, probably 15 years, I actually went into a public bathroom and I saw those little holes that like the really disgusting, have no self-respect or no respect for other people, gay guys drill into like toilets so they can watch other people go to the bathroom, which I think is completely disgusting. But I think the funny thing was I really had to go to the bathroom, and I went in the middle stall, and there was holes on both sides, and both sides were occupied, and I could tell by the fact that there was no noises coming out of either side that it was some gay guy, trying to get off. So I kind of was like, not today, not with me. So I like plugged everything up with tissue, and you could, like, on the one side I kind of heard somebody go, oh, and I was like, yeah, I know what this game is. But I think it was just very surprising to me to see that. Like, it's been such a long time since I've seen those in a public bathroom that I kind of was like, wow, I forgot that gay men used to be desperate enough to do something so tacky and vulgar. And the other thing I was going to say is, for those of you who were introduced to Kazakhstan through Borat, like myself, I just wanted to really quickly say that, it doesn't take a lot of intelligence to realize that movie was satire, but I want to say that it's even more satire than I even knew it was, because one of the things I didn't know was that Kazakh people don't even look the way that they're shown in that movie. I kind of knew that obviously the people wouldn't be as extreme as they showed them in the movie, and they wouldn't be, quite as backwards as they were. But they showed like all these people who look kind of Middle Eastern-y, and that's not what Kazakhstan people look like. They actually look Asian. Everybody here looks basically as if they were Chinese. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there and be like, that is just another level of the satire and the ridiculousness of that movie. So overall, do I think any of these places that I just mentioned are worth visiting? No, unless you are like me, somebody who plans to really travel the world, and you're like, I want to see every corner, then probably, yeah, you're going to swing through here and this video might be helpful to you. But if you're somebody who's like, no, I work very hard all year long and I want to go to some place that's really organized and everything runs really smooth, and I know exactly what I'm getting into, and there's a beach and I can relax, then none of these countries that I mentioned now are places that I would recommend for you. And so that is it. Leave feedback and take care. Bye.